If you've watched any of our videos, you know I'm a big fan of the interiors of trucks, just because of the fact it's where drivers spend most of their time. This week, we're checking that out with the Autocar ACX. Stay tuned. Today, we're talking about my favorite, the office. And Autocar has made this a great setup to work with. This is actually one of the largest cabs that you can find for this type of truck, which is just awesome in that. When you look at the construction of this, that galvannealed steel construction takes that even a step further, making it quieter in here, and on top of that, making it much stronger, which equates to safety for the drivers. Now, in talking about the drivers, there's a lot of things that are done here in order to make sure the driver's comfortable. One of which is this cab is really well insulated. There's insulation above these panels. There's insulation all around that's really going to help because this is rated for up to 120 degrees. Granted, you're going to want to crank the AC, which we're going to talk about here in a second, but it is rated for up to 120 degrees. In that, you're also not going to have too much of a problem being too cold when it comes to be winter time either. So I mentioned the air conditioning system, and this is a super easy panel to not only reach, but to use. Now the nice thing is this is a 30,000 BTU setup. So in a lot of cases, you had to run auxiliary fans up top in order to keep the windshield from either frosting or fogging up. With this setup, it is going to move more than enough air to make sure that you're never going to have a problem with that. One of the things that's interesting with that too is you got to realize that that system has to defrost or defog a lot of windshield. You basically have 325 degrees of view from in this cab. I mean, there's almost as much glass here as an AMC Pacer. That being said, it's great visibility, not only to get the work done easier, but for safety. There's not really any blind spots. It's tough for something to hide. And part of it is because they're able to use these smaller A and B pillars, and we've got these windows back here. Now, what they've also done too is they've done a really nice job of tucking the wiring in that into these covers that go on the A pillars. But with these two pull pins, you can pull those out. If you ever need to access the wiring harness that runs up into the ceiling, you can do it right through here. Very simply, very easily. Just pop those two pins out and off it comes. That ease of access actually continues throughout the cab. If you look at most of these panels here, a couple of screws allow you to remove these panels. Now, that gives you access if you've got a problem with anything that's in this panel. You've got simple, easy access with a couple of screws. In the same sense, there are so many trucks out there right now where you're looking at 6, 8, 10 hours to service anything in the interior HVAC system. With this truck, you don't have any of that. It's quick, simple, and easy access, which is going to keep your maintenance costs down and also keep the truck out on the road longer. One of the nice things about this truck too is it is a dual drive truck, meaning I can drive from this side or that side where you're sitting right now. Now we're going to cover the stuff over there here in just a few minutes, but the nice thing is the controls are pretty well duplicated, and the ones that aren't duplicated you can hit from either side of the truck. Like this here is what controls what you see on your dashboard. Super easy to reach from right here. In fact, I'm reaching it with my left arm in the center of the truck. Same thing, interior lights, heated mirrors, the brakes. I mean, all of this is super easy to reach, super easy to get from either side of the truck. The controls for the body and the transmission are duplicated from side to side. We've got the same thing over here as I do over there. The buttons are in the same spots. That way, you're not going to have any issues with this. In the same sense, all of the buttons are labeled. So if you've got a new driver that's got questions, boy, some simple reading and they can get this figured out pretty quickly and easily. So I mentioned the dual controls. Well, one of the nice things about the dual controls is how they're integrated with the Autocar chassis. So you're not ending up with a body on top of a truck as much as you are just a vehicle that works as one. In the same sense on that, that integration allows them to continue with some of those wiring savings that I mentioned before. Let's face it, the more wires that are there and exposed, the more problems are possible. With their routing that they use and with the integration, they're able to save up to 80 pounds worth of wiring on a truck like this. Not only is that 80 more pounds of payload you can put in, but that's also 80 less pounds of problem down the road. So next up, let's talk about the stand-up side of the truck. And this, in a lot of cases, is where a lot of time is going to be spent. Can's going to be out front here. You're going to need to see what you're grabbing in terms of getting it off the curb. This gives you excellent access and amazing visibility for everything that's going on. Once again, I've got windows all over the place. I've got the dual mirrors on that side so I can see if anyone's sneaking up on me. I've got the mirrors over here that I can look out through. I've got this huge windshield that lets me see everything out in front of the truck here. It's just set up to make sure that everything works well and safely. Now, the other thing about that too is I've got all my controls, transmission, body, they're right here. It's all fingertip controls. Other thing about that too, radio controls are right up here because, hey, going all day, I want to make sure that I'm listening to the right stuff, right? The dashboard is a duplicate of the other side, and Autocar's done a great job of giving you a few options of what you can look at on this dash. We've still got our tachometer and our speedometer up there, our air pressures here. Those are analog gauges, so you can see those all the time. It's the other gauges that you may want to scroll through, such as water temperature, oil temperature, things of that nature. On top of this, on this side, we also have our work brake over here. There's going to be times you're going to need to hop out, pick up bags, things of that nature. Flipping this lever locks the brakes, puts the transmission in neutral, and allows the driver to hop out, put whatever they need to in the can, and go from there. Get back in, put that over, grab the seatbelt here, lock it in place, you're ready to go back down the road. It's a quick, simple, and easy operation, so that way there's not any wasted time. We want to make sure that it gets down the road as quickly as possible. With these controls and the way these are set up, I think that's a pretty good way to do that. So next week, we are going to dive into what's right below here. Engine, and a little further back, transmission. So do me a favor, make sure you subscribe so that way you know when that video comes out. If you've got a question about this truck or any of the trucks here at Premier, by all means leave that in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you like this one, give it the thumbs up. I'm going to see you guys next week. Stay safe out there.